Hey folks, I'm Mike. I'm the Travelin Ham. One of the most common questions that we hams get from folks who are preparing for some kind of widespread disaster. Keep in mind, this doesn't have to be outlandish things like zombie apocalypses and things like that. We've seen plenty of scenarios play out just this fall in Florida and North Carolina that having auxiliary communication possibilities would have been nice.
Okay, folks, here's the deal.
I'm at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
This is going to be a special
One of the most intense trails. This is the operating station.
That's a bear.
Wow, do I really look like a guy with a plan?
The traveler has
I just do things.
This is a huge, beastly, bulging man. Plates were from Kansas.
So the question usually comes up that, hey, I have family in other states. I might have, parents that are one state away, and then I've got a sibling that's a state in the other direction, and I've got another sibling that's across the country. What can I do to be able to communicate with all those family members? Well, this is a really good news and a really bad news type of answer. There really is only one good solution, and it is a really good solution that solves all problems. The really good news is that HF bands on ham radio are an absolute magic bullet solution. You can talk locally, you can talk across the state, you can talk to everyone in your region, you can talk to everyone in the country, you can get potentially all the way around the world, though you're getting more dependent on conditions at that point. That's the good part. It solves all problems. The really bad part, I think you already know. In order to do that, you're going to have to buy equipment that is going to be more expensive than your simple handheld radios. A lot more expensive in some cases. It's going to take some time and effort for you to learn what you need to learn, and technically you need to have a license to transmit on these bands. That's the really bad part. Usually the way it turns out is the person that is asking the question might be interested in getting their license, but they're probably not going to be able to convince their family members to do the same. That's the trick of the situation. That's the really bad news. If you can convince your family members, great. And the good part about having to get your general license is so many of your basic questions are going to be answered along the way as you study to pass your exam. And anyone that did reasonably good at all in math and science, okay, you got through math and science with C's, you're going to do fine passing these tests. Some people are naturally going to pick it up a little quicker than others, but for the most part, you're capable. It doesn't get too in the weeds as far as the science and the theory goes, or the math computations. And again, you're going to learn what you need to learn about propagation and antennas and all those things that you're going to need to learn. Sure, you could skip the licensure process and then just get your equipment and try to figure it out, but it's going to take quite a bit of effort and research on your part to do that. And then there's a matter of practicing. Well, why do I need practice to learn how to talk on a radio? You push on the button and you talk. What do we need to practice? I'm glad you asked. To get our signals to transverse the distance that you're talking about, well beyond line of sight, our signals are going up into the ionosphere and then getting refracted back down to our receiving stations. The real art and practice to ham radio is knowing that at what time of the year, what time of the day, what time of the 11-year sun cycle, all those factors affect how that refraction takes place. And, if I'm in Kansas and I'm talking to family in Virginia, that's going to be a different computation in terms of what frequency I would use if it's now in the fall, or a few months later in the winter, or next summer, or if I'm doing it at night versus the day, or if it's 5-6 years from now when the catastrophe actually happens and we're now at the bottom end of the solar cycle, we're at the top. Or it could just be, you're going to have days that have really weird conditions that make no sense at all, just like the weather. That's why you need to practice. That's why you need your license. You need to be able to transmit. You need to be able to communicate with each other on a regular basis to learn what works and what works when. Okay, so most of you are going to find that your family or your friends, whoever it is, they're not going to be all that willing to get your license. If they are, congrats, you're lucky. If they're not, There can be instances where if you have your license, you could communicate to another ham in the area. So if I have family in Virginia, and let's say they were in the areas impacted by flooding from Hurricane Helene, I theoretically could contact other hams in the area and see if someone could get over to visit my dad and do a wellness check to make sure he's okay. That's a possibility. It's still not as good, but again, the really, really good news is this will work, and it will work everywhere. The really bad news, it's pretty much the only solution you got, and it's not easy to get there. You can do it. It's going to take some time. HF radio on the ham radio bands is the golden gun. Hey, I'm Mike, the Travelin' Ham. You have any questions? Drop them in the comments below. We'll see you next time.